I got a dirty little secret, but I actually loved Ben Shapiro. He was one of the first political commentators that I grew up listening to. He used to say, facts don't care about your feelings. Do you guys remember that? For some reason, he doesn't say the catchphrase anymore. Isn't that fascinating? And so I came across this soundbite, and I want to share it with you guys and then see what you guys think, because I was extremely disappointed by what I heard.
Grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up. But the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
Wow. The problem with this is that on the surface, it does make sense. Like, there is a dose of truth to it. Back in the day in America, if let's say there was problem in a state, it wasn't unusual to have migration from one state to the other, like people genuinely looking for a better life. Or people from Europe in Germany during the Depression. Many of them got on boats and did travel to America. And so like Ben Shapiro is now suggesting, well, why don't we do the same? The problem with this suggestion is that it tries to get people to never ask, why are things bad though? Like, what's causing the problem? Why is that an issue? And his solution is to get people to never hold the leaders accountable. But more importantly, I think he doesn't even want people to realize that the leaders are the problem. This is not an act of God. The reason that we're actually having less purchasing power than the boomers is not because there was a world war. It's not because there was a great plague. It's not an act of nature. It's policy decisions. Policy decisions by people that don't want to be held accountable, by people that are aware that their policy decisions are causing this discontent, and they want to keep doing these policy decisions. And so they get people like Ben Shapiro in order to tell individuals, just be complacent, don't talk about it, just let's keep the ship the way it's going, because for us it's good, for you it's bad, but we don't care about you. And so, like, what exactly is the problem? Why would they say that we're in bad times now? Well, one of the reasons they say society is doing poorly and the economy is failing is because people don't have kids. We're noticing a decline in birth rates, and so governments are having a difficult time maintaining the economic system. Now, here's the interesting part. Recently, I've read a lot about history, especially the medieval time period of the Black Death. And what's interesting is that when you have workers dying, so you have a population decline, turns out that actually workers become incredibly valuable. And so back then you had the nobility abusing the peasantry, making sure that the peasants have no rights, sending inquisitions to make sure that the peasants have moral purity. Well, when the Black Death comes and the population is decreasing and you have a labor shortage, instead of importing people from Somalia, or instead of the English crown getting H-1B visas to come over during the Black Death, they actually had to make concessions with their peasantry. They actually had to do the unthinkable, and for the first time ever, they had to start paying the peasants a wage. It wasn't even a living wage, but, it was a start. And so what I'm trying to say is that in a situation where you're actually having population decline, where, the birth rates are going down, the young people from that country should be the most valuable resource in that nation's recent history. Like you should have people that are employers basically trying to one-up each other, kissing your ass in order to make sure that you work with them. And they would have to, give you more payments, they would have to give you more perks, they would be competing with each other in order to make sure that they're attracting the few young people that are left. And obviously, that would get young people to have a lot of political power. They would manage to become a lot more important than the boomers. But we're not seeing that, are we? Interesting. Why aren't we seeing that? Oh, because the solution was figured out, right? Like the H-1B visas, the mass immigration, all of that shit. is to keep the wages down, to keep the system going the way it is, and to not allow the young people to replace the boomers. And so you now have Ben Shapiro basically like justifying that system and trying to distract people from what's happening. And you know, the media is the one that's saying, oh yes, well, you need to be better than a person coming with an H-1B visa. And the problem is like, yeah, you should be better, right? Because like meritocracy is important. But like, what if the employer isn't trying to hire someone better? What if they're just trying to hire someone good enough that's cheap? And when you look at our society and the systemic failures that are happening, you notice that, oh, well, it's almost like, yeah, this is the case. Like, they're hiring people that are good enough and cheap. And it's happening everywhere. And so the customers don't benefit. The young people of that nation don't benefit. And the only people that do benefit are the ones that run the companies, and they can keep wages depressed. And the politicians in office, which aren't afraid of young people coming up with revolutionary ideas like Charlie Kirk did. Laugh all you want, but it was Turning Point USA. A lot of people hated him. Oh, those were milquetoast ideas, right? Imagine if they get some actual radicals in. They don't like that. And if you look at the politicians in America, like most of them are part of the geriatric squad. They're old. Like just the other day, one of them had a stroke on air. And this is why, you know, like in a society where you have like declining birth rates, again, like you would see young people everywhere because like they would have all the wealth. They would have so much money and so much power, and it would be very difficult for the old guard to gatekeep them. They would need their money. They would need their wealth, right? Like it wouldn't be a revolution. It would just simply be like the old politicians trying to court the young people in order to get them on board so that they can have access to the finances. That's how a normal society would run. Interesting how Ben Shapiro doesn't talk about economic principles anymore. Right? Like, isn't it interesting? Declining birth rates and yet young people are poorer. How does that make any sense? And this is like the only hot take that he had. Like the last time I heard him, he was basically saying that people shouldn't retire at the age of 65 because like every single person that he knows at the age of 65 who retired died in 3 years. And this would beg the question, you know, like my brother in Christ. Oh, sorry, he's not my brother in Christ. My brother in Yahweh, right? Because he's Judeo-Christian now. My brother in Yahweh. Who would hire a 65-year-old? Like, would you hire me if I was 65 to do what? Right? Like, this is a legit question. Are old people being hired? You know, like in my country, we used to hire 65-year-olds. It was kind of like doing a public service, and the 65-year-old would do the work, and other people would look at your company. It's kind of like having diversity in America. You know, you hire a black woman and everyone claps. Well, in my country, it was like you hire an elderly person, and people generally respected you, because they're like, oh, okay, so like, you know, this is someone's grandma, and she needs some money, so like, she's now hired to sell bread at a kiosk. Or she's hired at a supermarket to sit behind the counter. A lot of people like appreciated that, right? Oh, they don't do that anymore. Now they're hiring cheap labor, right? It's all about the immigrants, migration, blah blah blah. And if you complain about it or talk about it, it's hate speech. You're not supposed to complain. That's a good thing. You sick fuck, you know. And this is why people are not liking Ben Shapiro anymore, and why he is in a decline, and why his sister is now becoming more popular than him. Like if you search for Shapiro, at least on my computer, I find his sister more often than I find him. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.